Villagers in Hela call for peace after tribal clashes. Lae Police investigate a hand grenade found at a home. And 30 killed in a terrorist attack in Belgium.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. More than 500 people from Kitgum in Tari Hela province have deserted their village after a tribal fight earlier this year. A whole village was destroyed, affecting more than 200 families from both sides. The 3-week battle between two sub-clans has affected many lives. Those from both sides affected want peace negotiations and normalcy to return.
The whole village of Kitgum in the Tari urban LLG was destroyed 3 months ago during fierce clashes between the Kopage and Homarel subclans. The whole village has been deserted, villagers seeking refuge in another village. The fight was based on an whole dispute over ownership of land. It is reported that 12 people were killed and many more injured during this fight. There has been ceasefire, however, no formal peace in the form of compensation has been made yet. Sarah Hajima is married to a Kopage. This faction was displaced and are now hosted by a neighboring village in Tagali LLG, a few kilometers away from Kitgum. Like many others, Sarah says her family lost everything in the fight and are now in someone else's village. 3 months of living in fear is enough and want peace process to commence.
Blanket, mi plus I put a louse na, mi plus I cooking cake sleep. This like I am, mi plan arouse in one plus that house want them in fire nothing.
Rose Benson, our grandmother, says she and her family do not have proper shelter.
Something blum fire lane, bagarab lane. Barret garden cake no rat mi run some long straight stab. So live grab lo pavindo stab. Mi less finish lo fight. Mi like settle down now current peace come.
While many are still reluctant to return to Kitgum, Pastor David Hive has been visiting his now burnt down home. He says his return to the village is a signal to others that peace is on the way.
Big Mr. Bia, and now Narbla line or by come, the enemy also awesome. Of money, Namel money stop. All enough rate will come working most Narbla side was.
Following peace negotiations, both sides will be giving their demands for the lives lost. Compensation demands have to be met in the form of money and pigs. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Tari.
Morabe's Rural Police Commander Chief Inspector David Warrap has issued a word of caution to people organizing mediation gatherings to inform police so that violence is prevented. Warrap's warning comes after a 19-year-old woman from Chimbu province was shot with a wire catapult at 14 Mile settlement in Lae on Sunday during a mediation meeting. The deceased, identified as Alice Michael, was at the gathering at 14 Mile settlement when a fight broke out. She was trying to escape when she was shot below her left rib. Police are investigating. A pineapple hand grenade was found in a house in the Lae suburb of East Tarka yesterday. Lae Police came upon the hand grenade after acting on a tip-off that recent Buemo prison escapees were using the premises as a safe house. They called in PNGDF bomb experts to disarm the suspected booby trap positioned to explode in the bathroom. Bethany Harman with this report.
Around 12 noon yesterday at Lae's East Taraka suburb, police moved into this isolated street to secure prison escapees believed to be hiding in this house. Police conducted a quick search around the house before they took a look in the bathroom. There they found a military-grade hand grenade. The grenade looked as though it had been set up in a booby trap, ready to explode if the shower door was pushed open. Detectives from the Lae Criminal Investigation Division were at the scene when we arrived after being told by the public. The detectives refused to comment on the situation. Behind me, the PNGDF bomb squad has sealed off the area, pushing all residents out so that they can go inside and secure the bomb. At this time, we only know that it could be a hand grenade that's set up as a booby trap. Papua New Guinea Defence Force bomb experts from Lae barracks were called onto the scene by police to secure the grenade. The whole block was quickly sealed off to the entire neighborhood and families were asked to move away from their homes. It's understood that the Defence Force bomb experts have secured the grenade yesterday afternoon, but information about where the grenade came from remains sketchy. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
Lae Metropolitan Commander Anthony Wagambi has confirmed that an elderly man was killed while his younger brother sustained knife wounds after they were attacked at Busu settlement. Police believe the recent murder is related to the killing of the two other men last Saturday at Busurum compound.
Lae Police found the body of the older man floating at the Busu River. While detectives investigate the matter, police believe the whole incident may be linked to a sorcery case. Police, community policing and other units have been in the area to try to calm the tension. Lae District Law and Order Committee are working with police to solve the matter. The situation is still tense and police are on alert. On Saturday, two other men under the influence of alcohol went to Tawen Market at Busurum settlement and destroyed market tables and chased women and children. The community then mobilized and killed them. New information received from police today revealed that both men killed were recent prison escapees. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lae.
The revised Criminal Proceedings Act 2015 needs amendment to effectively deal with money laundering cases in the country. This was disclosed today during the anti-corruption workshop on money laundering. Eric Harupma with this report.
Implementing agencies like the police and courts played a vital role to enforce this legislation with the notion to fight financial terrorism and combat money laundering in the country. More discussions have been made on how this legislation can be enforced in its entirety and to effectively deal with this issue. Today, in separate occasions, police prosecutors and legal officers from the Public Prosecutor's Office and magistrates from across the Pacific region have received money laundering trainings. This training is facilitated by the British International Governance and Risk Institute called GOVRIS and funded by the British High Commission.
It is the second phase of our programme through the High Commission, looking at how Papua New Guinea is dealing with the new raft of legislation in relation to the Proceeds of Crime Act and 5 other new pieces of legislation.
One integral part of this training is that through case scenarios, participants were able to identify indictable offences that were derived from the proceeds of crime in relation to money laundering.
Many countries around the world are grappling with what are increasingly sophisticated methods of financial crime. So Papua New Guinea now has very robust legislation in place in order that these crimes can be brought through the courts. It gives additional powers to police, to prosecutors and to magistrates and the judges in these offences, and gives greater clarification as to how these offences will be prosecuted through the courts. Initially, the Proceeds of Crime legislation. What we are building on with this programme here this week is how these crimes occur, looking at the typologies of what's involved in these very complex schemes which often go between jurisdictions, and how prosecutors can use the legislation in order to make sure that their submissions to court are robust, and give the best possible chances of successful prosecutions based on the evidence that is presented.
UK barrister Alexander Mills highlighted during the training that legal regimes in place like the Proceeds of Crime Act will deal with any forms of money laundering. He said under PNG's jurisdiction there are specific legislations that deals with this issue. They are Proceeds of Crime Act 2005, Criminal Code Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Amendment Act 2015, Anti-Money Laundering Act 2015, Terrorist Financing Act 2015, Mutual Assistance and Criminal Matters Act 2015, and United Nations Financial Sanctions Act 2015. Meanwhile, the Proceeds of Crime Act 2005 amendment is yet to be fully sanctioned by the national government. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
While strike action by the coalition of union is looming, the PNG Teachers Association is refusing to pay outstanding membership fees to the Trade Union Congress. PNG-TA General Secretary Ugwalubu Moana said the TUC has not been performing since 2012.
Mr. Moana is disappointed with the Trade Union Congress, who issued a letter of outstanding membership fee of more than 190,000 kina for the PNG Teachers Association that dates back to 2012. Mr. Moana said the Trade Union Congress has not been concerned with the matters of the workers' union for the past 4 years.
We call on PNG-TUC to organize itself. At the moment, PNG-TUC is not functional. The plights of the public sector workers, the plights of the private sector workers have been abrogated. There's no seriousness in representation of PNG-TUC. The problem is that over the 4 years, they never got the Congress to elect the executive board. Executive board is the constitutional body that governs the PNG-TUC.
Mr. Moana said the PNG Teachers Association is the largest body of union workers in the Trade Union Congress. However, their ongoing issues have not been addressed over the years. Mr. Moana is concerned with the welfare of national teachers in the country. Mr. Moana raised concern that funds from the members could be used for political interest in the upcoming national elections.
And now they want money from the unions to pay affiliates. At the same time, go to the government and beg. I'm telling you people, it doesn't work. I call on the Industrial Relations Secretary, Office of the Industrial Registrar, interim board must conduct the Congress by 2nd week of April. If it is not conducted, their paying affiliates will call for a special Congress under the PNG-TUC Constitution.
In a telephone interview with Trade Union Congress General Secretary John Pasca said the TUC is an independent body that does not run on government funds, but from the affiliated members. The letter was a reminder to the PNG-TA of the debts that have not been paid for the past years. Mr. Pasca will be holding a media conference tomorrow to address union matters. Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
The National Forest Research Institute in Lae has long-term plans of multiplying tree seedlings. Most of its research programs focus on identifying and maintaining forestry vital in products. The main challenge has been identifying land areas with particular soil types fertile enough for various plant species.
The National Forest Research Institute has been working on regenerating plants, including trees, to save various species from becoming extinct. One of the challenges the acting director Patrick Nimiago points out is the amount of research it takes to identify proper soil types vital to the life development of trees.
We have a series of research plots covering almost all the areas that have been logged. So, and some of these areas we have monitored for up to about 20 years now. Some have land use changes, so we lost a number of them. So
over 10,000 plant species have been grown and kept in this habitat preserved for. National Forest Research Institute is also working to provide research information to other environment or climate organizations to identify what's vital in PNG's biodiversity.
Right now we are preparing to go into undertaking a national forest inventory. It's called multi-purpose national forest inventory. So that's where we actually take stock of the forest, the biodiversity, including the soils. That is for the purpose of providing this information to for us in Papua New Guinea, as well as supporting the RED, REDD+. So
most of the researches done here are focused on capturing carbon in the atmosphere and mitigating its negative impacts. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
Telecom says restoration to their vandalized cables is progressing well. Bill Watovo, Regional Business Manager, says technicians worked throughout the night and as of 6 p.m. yesterday, damages to the Badili site was restored. As for the destruction to cables at Gordon's, work is progressing well. When we come back, day 2 of question time in Parliament. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Public Enterprise and State Investment Minister William Duma says PNG-owned companies will still participate in the new look port services in Lae. He made this statement in response to Bulolo MP Sam Bussel's question on the government's move to reject bids by local landowner companies to provide services at the Lae Wharf.
The Onil government decided to offload the services from the local Papa Ground companies back to the foreign-owned companies. Tenders were called for, and 4 bidders were foreign-owned bidders was accepted, and the 2 landowners companies was rejected. Why dumping the landowner companies now for foreign investors?
The local companies who are in a joint venture arrangement are Rybeck, Stevedoring and Labo Holdings, which Basil says have been in operation over the last 22 years and have an asset value of 50 million kina.
Can the minister confirm or deny that the Onil government will still pursue their interest in offloading those port services from the hands of the local landowner companies to the foreign companies, setting back the progress that the previous Chen government has initiated to meaningfully engage landowners through their landowner companies? If so, then what will happen to the landowners companies? And
in response, Minister Duma said priorities in supporting local companies have not changed.
The O'Neill government has always recognized the game-changing plans that were introduced by the Chen government at that time, and no changes have been made by this government. The process where stevedoring businesses are allowed to be operated by consortiums or even people involving, companies involving our nationals has not been changed.
He further added that moves by the government have been to increase efficiency in the part of operations which is distinct to stevedoring services and also to protect the interest of local companies.
In the case of Rybeck stevedoring, for instance, I am more interested in working out and knowing how this relationship has been going on for the last couple of years. I wouldn't want to see our naive, straightforward, genuine landowners being given the runaround by those partners. And before we go into the next stage, it is my duty, Mr. Speaker, to check and to review that operation and see whether our landowners have been given a good deal, particularly the people of Lae.
He assured Basil that local companies will not miss out on any opportunities.
So I can clearly assure the good men for Bulolo and our people of Papua New Guinea that even in the event that the government does go ahead and goes down the path of allowing world-class operators to look after our ports, our nations will be allowed. They will be allowed to be involved in those joint ventures. Our people will not be locked out.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
In a supplementary question on the Lae Wharf, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru asked how the government was going to fund the defects to the Lae Wharf. Governor Naru said they have an independent report by an engineering consultant that states that there are major structural damages. He asks if there was a contractual clause with contractors China Harbour to correct the defects. While Minister Duma was responding to this question, there was a blackout, thus the quality of the footage.
The contract already provides for that, and the contractor, China Harbour, has recognized that there are certain works that need to be done to rectify. We've all agreed and we've accepted the work that need to be done. It's not that serious and not so warranting so to prevent the operations from being done, continuing to be operated in the port of Lae. An international reputable Dutch company has been engaged to identify those defects and to prepare a report. Once that report lands on our table, we will immediately act on it, and we will ensure that this much needed development is completed.
Still on Lae, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru asked the Prime Minister today in Parliament if the government will be responding to the customary landowners of Lae City's demand for compensation. With a Supreme Court ruling in their favour, Naru said the landowners have given him 1 month to respond and he now has 6 days left.
I direct the Minister for Lands and his department to take top priority in addressing this issue, but as members of Parliament, we must take heed of this. It is not advisable for us to go out there and try and settle every land claim that is available in the country. we will have no money left for other services if we do that. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the Governor we will address that as soon and quickly as possible. Thank you.
Member for Ijivitari David Arore asked the Minister for Higher Education about updates on the former Popondetta campus of the University of Natural Resources and Environment. Mr. Arore said in 2014, the National Executive Council approved 6 institutions in the country, including the former UNRE campus, to become institutions of higher education to cater for the increasing numbers of grade 12 school leavers.
During questions without notice today, Mr. Arore asked Minister Tabar about the former UNRE Popondetta campus. He said following the NEC decision in 2014, the former UNRE campus was said to become an independent higher education institute to be called the Eastern Papua Institute of Higher Education. He said the campus was now unused, with all UNRE staff withdrawn and there being no intakes for this year.
Or what is the latest that has come out from the department with regards to that particular institution in the province?
In response, Mr. Tabar said this year was a transition year. He asked the provincial administration and provincial government to work with the Higher Education Department to coordinate efforts on the ground.
We've basically asked the University of Natural Resources at Woodall or Rabaul to make a decision as to who they want to keep, we can keep, and we would like the provincial administration and the provincial government of Oro to basically work with us because they are the people on the ground. They need to basically coordinate.
Northern Province Governor Gary Jufa said the provincial government was willing to lend its support.
He is taking necessary measures to put together an interim board that will oversee the establishment of the UNRE in the province. We will commit some funds to this. I want that to be made known that we are in communication with the Minister and his office. This is a provincial government asset that we are going to allocate some funds, and we are happy to take this on board.
Mr. Arore also said the Ijivitari District Development Authority, in support of the NEC decision, approved in this year's budget a total of 500,000 kina as counterpart funding to establish this new Eastern Papua Institute in Popondetta. Minister Tabar said the department was working hard at delivering the 6 approved higher education institutes given the pressing need. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Illegal fishing in waters of Milne Bay is now concerned by leaders of the province. Milne Bay Governor Titus Philemon raised this concern to the Fisheries Minister Moa Zemming today in Parliament. Governor Philemon said the province has witnessed rising cases of unknown boats illegally fishing in the past 6 months.
The Milne Bay Governor raised the concern during the question without notice in today's Parliament session. His call comes as the provincial government received reports of several incidents of unknown overseas vessels illegally fishing for beach dime, or commonly known as sea cucumber. Governor Philemon said such incident has drawn attention to the surveillance of waters in the country.
And once we have the moratorium on the sea cucumbers, which our local resource owners and people are suffering, and foreigners are stealing right before our very nose.
The Milne Bay Governor told Parliament there are evidences of boats fishing for beach dime. Governor Philemon went on asking the Fisheries Minister when the current ban will be lifted.
I won't be surprised, Mr. Deputy Speaker, if the moratorium is lifted, there won't be any sea cucumbers left for the people.
Fisheries Minister Moa Zemming responded, stating there are weaknesses in monitoring PNG waters. However, measures are in place.
Work plus surveillance long country, Mr. Speaker, you had our opinions. Also, Papua New Guinea Defence Force, ego parcel this blow work. Blow patrolling all border areas, now got in place.
Minister Zemming told the Parliament the National Fisheries Authority is reviewing recommendations of the ban on beach dimes before lifting the ban. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Parliament sessions are always a crowd puller. There are serious political enthusiasts, and some are there to see politicians in the flesh and in action. In most sessions, there is a group of students who attend, and today it was the 7D class of Ward Strip Primary School in Port Moresby. Sarah Aupong caught up with them after the question and answer session.
The excursion was part of their social science class on the government, as explained by their teacher, Mrs. Siambo Yangu.
We were on the topic, the government and the three bodies of the government. I thought it would be best in practical, they see the real thing.
For most of them, it's their first time to witness how a question and answer session on the floor of Parliament is conducted.
Good and exciting also for us to see the leaders of our country argue and over the affairs of the country.
While the experience of being in the chambers was exciting, they were a little disappointed on how certain topics were handled by ministers concerned.
I don't think they argue too well.
Especially the answer by Fisheries Minister Mao Zemming on illegal fishing, which was brought up by Milne Bay Governor Titus Philemon.
He didn't really go into that question. It's like he's just picking up a bit, but not really into it.
Papa, he was just covering for me from the speeches he gave. He did not go really, as she mentioned, he did not really go into answering the question.
On the conduct of members of Parliament during question and answer session, this was their analysis.
To me, it seemed like little children and all that, arguing over things, stepping on the desk.
All no act as all politicians, like all carry name or just like all just kind of say all act as all like beginning.
The outspoken class leader, Mr. Moide, has this advice for our parliamentarians.
They should do, as leaders, they should do some things in order, speak in order and answer questions instead of barging in and tapping desk and screaming at each other and all those, because at this type of times, the country is watching them.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news. The Kina closed 15 points lower at $0.3250 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3175 US, $0.4140 Australian dollars, 0.2800 euro, and 35.42 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and copper closed higher, while gold and cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil closed unchanged, crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 41.30 points lower, the ASX closed at 24.36 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 26.47 points lower. Among stories after the break, the terror attacks in Belgium that killed 30 people and wounded hundreds more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has called for global unity, condemning terrorist attacks in Brussels. He said the loss of innocent lives is distressing and described the savagery of this type of attack as difficult to comprehend. Whilst the PNG embassy in Brussels is currently seeking to account for Papua New Guineans in the area, the Prime Minister has extended deep condolences on behalf of the country to the families of the victims in Brussels. Working with counterpart security and intelligence agencies from APEC partner countries, O'Neill says PNG has stepped up security and will continue to increase its capacity to detect threats in preparation for APEC, be they domestic or foreign. The Belgian capital of Brussels woke up to the aftermath of a nightmare. The city on virtual lockdown since the terror attacks that killed 30 people. Hundreds more were wounded in bombings at an airport and train station. Police are hunting for the prime suspects.
Passengers run for their lives at Belgium's Zaventem airport. Screams and smoke fill the terminal after 2 explosions tear through the departure lounge, turning the airport into a scene of devastation and death. Outside, more scenes of panic as passengers and airport staff flee in the chaos.
I heard an explosion. That was the first bomb. And when we came out of the elevator, on that moment, the second bomb exploded, and then we saw doors flying, glass ceiling coming down.
I heard an explosion. I just go under the sink, and then the second explosion went, and then everything is black. And I see, when I go out, I see a lot of people with blood.
Belgian authorities say at least one of the 2 airport explosions was a suicide bombing. Police also detonated a possible bomb belt they found at the airport. About an hour after the attack at the airport, across town, another explosion. This blast underground as a bomb at a metro station strikes the heart of the city, near the headquarters of the EU. Passengers left in the dark walk along the tracks to safety, the injured treated on the side of the road. Even veteran emergency workers are horrified.
I can't explain. It looked like war. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's really hard. I'm an old firefighter. I have almost 45 years of service, and it's the first time I see something so terrible.
Belgium's Prime Minister called it a dark day for his country.
We feared a terrorist attack would happen, and this is what happened. In Zaventem and in a metro station in Brussels, terrorists have committed murder.
Belgium is now on the highest state of alert as authorities hit the streets looking for those responsible for Tuesday's carnage and who might launch more attacks.
Australian police yesterday arrested 2 people, including a 16-year-old girl, on suspicion of raising funds to support the operations of the Islamic State militant group. The arrest in a Sydney suburb of the schoolgirl and a man, aged 20, were part of counter-terrorism operations aimed at thwarting attacks by domestic radicals at home and disrupting the flow of funds to foreign fighters overseas.
Australia's anti-money laundering agency said in November that reports of suspected financing for militant groups had tripled in the past year, with more than 50 million Australian dollars that could be used to support Islamic militants being investigated. Authorities believe dozens of Australian citizens have travelled to Syria and Iraq to fight alongside Islamic State militants. Australia, being a staunch ally of the United States and its battle against Islamic militants in Iraq and Syria, has been on heightened alert for attacks by homegrown radicals since 2014. Authorities say they have thwarted a number of potential attacks, while there have been several lone wolf assaults. Australian Federal Police Deputy Commissioner Michael Phelan said the latest arrests were not connected to any threat of an imminent attack inside the country.
That both these people will be charged later today and attend court. And the charge that we anticipate they will have is one of financing terrorism. So it's a very serious charge. It carries a maximum imprisonment of 25 years. We will be alleging that they were involved in obtaining money to send offshore to assist the Islamic State in its activities.
Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
The Coalition of Union representing SOE workers has presented a petition to opposition leader Don Pollier on grievances relating to their job security at 4:30 this afternoon. This follows the termination of employees from Telecom PNG who had their contracts terminated as a result of the newly introduced spill and fill exercise. Pollier says the petition will be presented to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill in Parliament this week.
The petition outlines a number of concerns relating to job security and the occupation of senior and executive positions within state-owned enterprises by expatriates. At 9 this morning, PNG Power employees walked out of the PNG Power headquarters when Chief Executive Officer John Mangles entered. They stayed outside for 3 hours before moving to Jack Piddick Park, where other SOE union members were gathered.
We've gone to the right avenues, the appropriate avenues. Nobody has sat there and talked to us. Nobody has answered us. We had a board there in Hela, in PNG Power. It was a good board, it was a very responsive board. But now there's no board, no one now. People are CEO go inside, CEO come inside. What is happening? Somebody, and for this instance, somebody has to come and tell us what is happening to the plight of the workers. You've done things outside. We're not worried about this. But now you're touching the workers of this country. I'm telling you, you're touching a force that you must be reckoned with. Thank you to all leaders. You will come to the family, you will RM, thank you to the response, Samla in RM. But also government, you will do respect, Lord, and give us something, Lord. But thank you to the Chief Justice. Thank you to
Coalition of Union spokesperson Alex Rawali said the national government is yet to respond to their job security concerns since they wrote to the Prime Minister last week. At 4:30 p.m. today, opposition leader Don Polio arrived at the park with Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil to address them.
Why we don't come quick? Because me like him, government must address it. Why people don't come and say, although you give me invitation, you don't come quick, I say too. Because I'm work from government, executive government don't address it. A good government is a government that when they make a mistake, they quickly admit the errors and they correct it instantly when it is brought to their attention.
The union members will continue to gather at Jack Piddick until they receive a response from the Prime Minister. Takla Gunga, National, EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. We'll have news on shooting, cricket and bowling. Stay with us. How do you pronounce that word? The place?
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Lae Football Association is set to host the 2016 Myrobes Easter Cup Challenge at the LFA grounds during the Easter period. 10 men's teams from LFA-affiliated clubs are confirmed to participate in the championship. The 4-day challenge will see the winner walk away with cash prize of 1,000 kina. The competition will start on Friday with the final scheduled on Monday. LFA President Roy Carmen is appealing to other business houses to support local football in the city as it gets bigger and better every year. Carmen says only through such competitions that Morobe discovered hidden talents. The world's fastest man, Usain Bolt, has claimed Rio 2016 will definitely be his last Olympic appearance, apparently crushing any chance of him competing at Tokyo 2020. Usain is the 6-time Olympic champion who has dominated the 100 meters and 200 meters events since bursting onto the scene at Beijing 2008.
The 29-year-old winner of 3 gold medals in Beijing in 2008 and London 2012 is targeting a triple in Rio de Janeiro.
Bolt for Jamaica, USA the silver, and amazing.
At the 2015 International Association of Athletics Federation's World Championships in China, Bolt, who confirmed his domination of the men's sprint races with 100-meter, 200-meter and 4x100-meter relay gold, had suggested he might end his career after Rio 2016.
The Americans on the line. fast changeover. It was fantastic down the back straight.
The Jamaican says his main aim is to earn another 3 titles in Rio, where he goes into the 100-meter, 200-meter and 4x100-meter events as defending champion and favorite to reign supreme once again. Athletics events at Rio 2016 will be held from August 12th to 20th at the Olympic Stadium. Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The PNG shooters who competed at the International Shooting Sport Federation Shotgun World Cup in Cyprus did well in the first day of competition. In the double trap event, Darcy Lae shot a personal best with a score of 105 out of 150. Angus Donald and veteran Danny Wanma both scored 87 amidst very tough competition and cold weather. The PNG Barramundis will play Kenya at the Amini Park in May for PNG's first international cricket match. PNG will take on Kenya in the World Cricket League Championship. They are back in training after returning from the Intercontinental Cup match against Ireland early this year. They will be working to get the players fit and ready for the upcoming match. And that's it for Trukai Sports. I'll have the weather details after this break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, mostly fine for all centers. In the Momase region, some showers for all centers. In the New Guinea Islands, some showers as well for all centers. And in the Highlands region, all centers experiencing evening showers. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Wednesday the 23rd of March 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.